Okay, folks, we got something really interesting here going to happen. We're going to have a debate, a two-mic dueling debate.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on up here, young man. Introduce yourself.
Thank you, my name is Raphael.
Hold the mic up so they can hear you.
My name is Raphael. How are y'all? Just to give you an idea of what's happening here, we were just having a conversation. I'm coming at this more from a civil libertarian perspective, and I was just asking gentlemen here. You know, I see a lot of Trump hats. I see a lot of people who probably vote for Republicans, and my question was, right? The Republicans don't care. This is a pro-Constitution rally. We're here to support the Constitution of the United States. And in my opinion, the Republicans are no better at protecting the Constitution of the United States than the Democrats. They might care about the First Amendment and the Second Amendment, but they don't care about the Fourth Amendment. They don't care about the 10th Amendment. You have the Patriot Act. You have Kavanaugh, who's just nominated. He doesn't care anything about the Constitution. And my question is, if we want to get back, as this gentleman was saying, to a pre-constitutional world, not in a post-constitutional world, how do we do that by supporting Republicans? How is that the answer?
So he came up to me and he asked me about, we talked a little bit about Obama. We talked a little about, let's start it off at the beginning, at the very beginning. And so go back to what your first initial question was to me. That was like the third or fourth question. Where's that reporter at? She was taking notes. What was the first question he asked me? You remember that?
I think the first thing you were talking about was the Patriot Act.
The first thing he was talking about.
The first thing I think was the Patriot Act.
The Patriot Act. The first question he asked me about was the Patriot Act. If I thought the Patriot Act was constitutional, and I said no, it was not constitutional, and it was done by a Republican president, correct?
Yep.
George Bush, Baby Bush, we call him. The Patriot Act has been upended, and it has been weaponized by the last president. Not this current one, but the previous administration, and you agreed with that, did you not?
Yes, but what has the current president done to change anything?
We're going to talk about that. Let's deal with one thing at a time. Okay, so the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act was used to spy on news organizations and news reporters. The Patriot Act was also used by President Barack Obama to put FCC agents in newsrooms. Now, we've got a lot of news here today. Remember when Barack Obama wanted to float the FCC agents and have an FCC agent in the newsrooms to try and control what was happening and what was being reported? Am I telling a story about that? That did happen, did it not? Yes, I see some press going, yeah, it did happen. So that was under Barack Obama. I don't think President Trump did that, did he?
He just took away Jim Acosta's press pass unconstitutionally from going into the White House.
No, wait a minute. No, he's got a valid point.
Acosta's horrible. Acosta's a terrible journalist.
Yeah, no.
He's a horrible person.
But he's got a point. He's got a point. Well,
but it was still unconstitutional to take away his press pass.
Well, let me just slow down a minute. We as individuals have a personal right to freedom of speech.
Yep.
Okay? Jim Acosta does not have a personal freedom of speech inside the White House. He was not there representing Jim Acosta. Jim Acosta was there representing a news organization called CNN. Now, CNN, they issue what's called a hard pass, and the press can back me up on this. It's called a hard pass. CNN has over 50 of them. They could have picked any other reporter and replaced Jim Acosta. It's not about the questions that Jim Acosta was asking. It is about the behavior of Jim Acosta.
Yeah, he was behaving hard.
Okay, so now, is it constitutional or unconstitutional for a president to eject a reporter? Yes, it is constitutional. It is the president's house. It is the people's house.
Why is Fox News coming out in support of Acosta then?
I have no clue what their animus was. Yep. Yeah.
They switched heads of CEOs. Roger Ayers is what made.
Yeah, they switched. There's different leadership
and
now.
And they want to
yeah.
be part of the club.
Yeah. So anyhow.
Sorry, go ahead, Ron. Sorry.
So anyhow, let's talk about this. It is the people's house, and the president is who we elected to be in that house. Now, it has the press briefings need to be orderly, and they need to be respectful on both sides. The president needs to be respectful to the press, and the press needs to be respectful to the president. Now, we can argue all day long about whether or not that happens. We all know what our own personal answers are to it. So, was it constitutional for him to eject him? Yes, as an individual it is. As a news organization it is not. There was over 50 other people that could have taken Jim Acosta's place. So does that answer your question?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
We can move on to it.
No, the next one.
Yeah.
Next one.
Just the main overarching question, again, is how is voting Republican the answer to getting us back to a constitutional society?
And that's a fantastic question. And if you would have been here for my first speech...
Yeah, I apologize for
That's okay, that's okay. I'll reiterate. Republicans and Democrats do not understand what it is to have a constitution. They do not understand the founding of this country, or they don't care to understand. Both of them act unconstitutionally. They assume more powers than what was granted under the Constitution. Both parties do it. So here's the difference, okay? You have certain folks that are Democrats that are running for socialism, that are supporting an open, socialistic society. By and large, you don't have any Republicans running for socialism. Now, my understanding, there are rhinos, Republican in name only. What does it mean to be a conservative? What does it mean to be a liberal? What does it mean to be a leftist? Well, a liberal is more along the lines, we've kind of gotten those terminologies mixed up. A leftist is someone who is extreme left, the opposite of being extreme right, or they're just on what they call middle left or soft left. When we call people liberals, that's kind of gotten mixed up with the word leftist. So liberals is more along the libertarian line.
You can call that classical liberal.
Yes, classical. Yes, you're exactly right. So I'm just going to talk for a minute about the left, which is a Democrat, and the right, which is a Republican, and what my understanding of it is. There's a reason they call them progressive liberals or leftists and conservative Republicans. What does it mean to be conservative? What does it mean to be liberal? Well, the way things have been done in the past, since my lifetime, since I've been paying attention, is the left are very liberal with government regulation. They're very liberal with taxation. They're very liberal with heavy regulations on the economy and on individuals. And I am directly opposed to having greater and more control over we the people from the government. Now, a conservative, what does it mean to be conservative? To be conservative, in my opinion, is you are conservative as much as possible with taxation, with regulation, and with the heavy rules of law, the heavy rules of government. That's, you conserve and preserve history. You conserve people's efforts for themselves instead of taking for the government. Now that's my definition of a conservative and a liberal, or what we know as leftists.
But Democrats are not liberal in the classical sense,
you're exactly right.
Republicans are not conservative.
You're exactly right.
So again, my question is, I see Trump flags, I see people who in this crowd will guarantee vote Republican. Am I wrong? Or most of you guys who came here to this rally, are you going to vote Republican or are you going to vote Libertarian?
It all depends on the party. It depends on what they're standing for.
All right, great. I'm wrong. That's great. I couldn't be happier to be wrong about that assumption that I just made. I apologize for making that assumption. I couldn't be happier about it. Cool. I think that third party voting is the only way to break our party out of this and to get us at. You can't. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And voting for Republicans is insane. It is just as insane as voting for Democrats. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, so the bottom line of all that, which I agree with you on, is the party system is broken. The two-party system in our country
is not broken. It was intentionally designed this way by both the Democrats and Republicans together, working together to
they designed it. You're exactly right.
They designed it.
The parties designed it.
It is not broken. It is working exactly as they want it to
So they
work.
maintain control.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
I think we need better candidates.
100% we need better candidates, but how can a candidate who has a true third-party opinion operate under one of these two major parties? He can't get on the poll.
Impossible.
He can't get on the debate stage. How is he going to do that?
You're exactly right.
We got to get money out of it.
You need to vote for him. You need to vote for him,
yeah,
and we need 5% of the population to vote for the Libertarian Party, and then they will get on the debate stage automatically.
Yeah, he's right about that. There needs to be more focus and attention. You know, once we get to the actual general vote, which we just had a few weeks ago, that's not when you have a choice. When you really have a choice as to who's on that general ballot to actually win the office is in the primary. Who we vote for and support in the primaries is who winds up at the top of the ticket, and then that's who we have a chance to vote for. So if we wait until November 1st to look at the candidates who we have to vote for, it's too late, folks. You don't really have a choice other than who I call them the kingmakers, and that's on the left and on the right. They're the kingmakers. They decide who's going to be the party nominee, and then they push that person along. So the time when you really have a choice, when you really have a chance to make a choice, is in the primary. And if you don't come out, 9 times out of 10, 99.9% of the time, it's going to be who the party picks.
He hits on that biggest problem.
Come up here, so people can hear what you're saying. I wish you had more microphones.
Thanks. I believe he hit it right on the money, the primaries, okay? The people need to get out and vote in the primaries. We don't see that. And when people get out and vote in the primaries like they do in the general election, we'll get better candidates for the Republican and the Democrat.
Let me ask you a question. You live in Philadelphia?
No, I don't.
How many of you live in Philadelphia? How many of you registered Republican in Philadelphia? Does your vote matter in the primary? No, it does not.
Yes,
no,
it does.
It does not.
Yes, it does.
90% of this city is going to vote for Democrat. It doesn't matter.
But it's still a voice.
The Democrat is going to be, whoever wins the Democratic primary is going to win the general election. It is a hard, fast rule in this city.
So you go to your
deny that is to deny anything. So do you want Republicans to run on the Democratic ticket? Do you want? Is that what you're saying? We should all register as Democrats then, and have constitutionalists run on the Democratic ticket?
But you need to take your. See, I really appreciate you. I really do, because it's rare to find somebody on the opposite end that will have this communication.
Yes. By the way, just to let you know, that's why I came over to this side. I would put, if I had to put myself somewhere, I would put myself squarely in the middle of the street as far as where I stand. Yeah. But the reason I came over here is because people are going to listen and have a conversation and not yell.
Okay. And by that, you are just as American as everybody here. Honest to God.
God bless you, brother. God bless you, brother.
I do have one last question. My advice to you would be to go to the Democrats and say, this is the best. You know, if you got 5 Democrats running in the Democratic primary, you know, you need to kind of go to the Democrats in Philadelphia and say, this is the person that is closest to the Constitution, that believes in the Constitution and the American flag. There is still Democrats out there that do. There is no doubt. I know them. I get along with them, and I love them. And I try to encourage Democrats to bring better candidates through the primary. And that's what I would do in Philadelphia.
So one of their viewers actually has a quick question. What is your opinion as far as the difference between democratic socialism and socialism?
No, preface that was a question from a live stream. So we've actually got a real live video here.
Fair enough. Look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be an expert on anything. Socialism is state-owned, as far as I understand it. You know, I would align socialism more along lines with communism, where you have state-owned property, state-owned utilities, state-owned, you know, oil, state-owned electricity, state-owned these things. Whereas democratic socialism is you have these things in the private market, and then these people and then their profits are taxed, and then that money is redistributed to enforce the social safety net. And the degree, look, Republicans have been a party of a social safety net forever. I don't think there's any way we're moving this country away from a social safety net altogether. You're not getting rid of Social Security. You're not getting rid of Medicare. You're not getting rid of Medicaid. And so to a degree, we've been a democratic socialist country for a long time already. And I don't, you know, whether or not you want to say taxation is theft from a moral perspective, that's fine. But you know, there's a difference between an ideal world and a real world. And we've been a democratic socialist country for a long, long time. I'm not a democratic socialist. I mean, it terrifies me, some of the things these new young Congress people are saying, and their complete lack of knowledge in civics. Oh my God, she's horrible.
She doesn't know that much about the Electoral College, but she never sent her kids there.
I had one of her supporters tell me, oh no, it's no problem. We could just print more money. We could pay for it all. We'll just print more money. We can print money. Why don't we just print it all?
They have no idea. Yeah, you're exactly right. Well, I'll tell you what, I really do appreciate what's
but,
that.
But real socialism is government-owned utilities, government-owned property, and that has never worked ever in the history of humanity.
You're exactly right. You know, we talked about democratic socialism versus socialism, so I'm going to just ask a couple of questions, and we'll see whether or not it rings true with what you defined, because I do agree with you. So we have the largest landowner in our country is the federal government. They own more land than anybody else, any one corporation or any one place. All the national parks that they own. The federal government owns more. We wake our kids up in the morning and we put them on a government vehicle and we send them to a government building where they are educated 6 hours a day by government employees.
Yeah, I saw a great bumper sticker the other day. It said, "My kid is an honor student at government indoctrination camp."
Yes, yes. So, yeah, so when we look at these types of things and we look at, in order for me to have a business, because I'm a small business owner, I can only have my business if the federal government and the state government issues me a little number so I can do business. And then I have to go and get a permit to be able to conduct business. And then before I pay anybody else, employees and myself involved, I have to pay the government first, or they will come take everything I own until I prove to them that I don't owe them any more money. Without going to a court of law and proving that I did something wrong, they can come take everything I own. So I would submit to you, is that in any way, shape, or form constitutional for the federal government to come to you and say, you worked all week, give me 1/3 of what you make, I'm going to keep it for a year and decide how much you can have back, and what I take from you, I'm going to keep most of it, and then I'm going to give it to somebody else and control what they do with it.
This country was born on a war over a 2% tax.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. And that's fine. You're not going to find me arguing over that. But again, my question comes back to,
why are Republicans
any better?
Exactly.
They tax everybody.
Let me nail that down.
Has spending ever gone down under Republicans?
Yep.
No.
Let me nail that down to the table. And you're exactly right. The national debt right now is almost $21 trillion.
Over 21 trillion.
Yeah, 21. I think it just passed. Didn't like last month? It just passed 21 trillion. I mean, that's unreal. Every person that's born in the United States or sets foot on the soil right now, each and every one of you owes over $64,000 in national debt. Every single one of you.
66,000.
Is it 66 now? See, that debt clock just keeps clicking along. Hey, I like you. I haven't checked the numbers in about a month and a half or 2 months, but he's about right, I'm telling you. And that's every single one of us. If you took that $21+ trillion and divided by 350 million people, that's a lot of money, folks. And they just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. Here's the thing. We have a better chance, in my opinion, of getting someone that will restrict the growth of government and restrict the growth of our national debt if we go with the Republican. Now, that doesn't always hold true, but we've got about a 20% chance that it's going to be better than with the Democrat. Now, his point is very valid.
You got a 100% chance it'll be better with the Libertarian.
Well, this is very true.
I agree.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Amen.
You're exactly right.
Not the party.
Yes, exactly.
That's not always true either.
Yes,
you're right.
Yes.
You're right. You're right. The person is corrupt, not the party. But our system. So there was a recent study that was done out of Harvard. And granted, I'm sure there's not a whole lot of love for that institution, but it's still, either way, the Democrats and Republicans work together. It's not just that either party is corrupt and that they stand for something bad or this one stands for something good. It's that these two parties have been working together over the last 150 years to change our country, to manipulate our Constitution into a way where nobody else can have power except for the two of them. It's a duopoly. Okay, if you Google Harvard study duopoly politics, you'll find this study, and there's a Freakonomics podcast on this that I really encourage everybody to listen to. And it's the duopoly of politics that is killing this country, because you have a Pepsi and a Coke, right? But even in Pepsi and Coke, right, you still got Snapple, Dr. Pepper, you got other beverages. There is no other option here. We talk about, we want free choice, we want a free society, right? How free is having two terrible options to choose from? Only having that.
You're exactly right. I'll give you, for instance, in the state of Pennsylvania, the two main parties, Republican and Democrat, in order to get on the ballot for a statewide race, you have to have 2,000 signatures for a Democrat or 2,000 signatures for a Republican. The Libertarian, who was Dale Kearns, by the way, a friend of mine. You know Dale Kearns?
Dale Kearns was the lieutenant governor.
Yeah,
candidate.
No.
The governor
No, Dale Kearns was a candidate for U.S. Senate, Libertarian.
Oh, okay, my apologies.
He was the Libertarian Party. He was the endorsed Libertarian candidate. Dale's a friend of mine. So let me finish my point. So in order for Dale Kearns to get on the ballot, he needed 5,000 signatures. So that's how the parties, now elections are supposed to be equal and fair for everyone, but they're really not. So if the Libertarian candidate had enough, now how they made up for that, needing more signatures, was they gave the third party candidate, the Libertarian, the Constitutional Party, the Green Party, they gave them a longer period of time to get those same signatures, those 5,000 signatures. They got longer time to get it done. They claim that was a trade-off. When I say they, that means the power makers, the kingmakers. And they claim that gave them a free and open election. That met the rule of law, the Constitution, of a free and open election, which I tend to disagree with. You have to drive more miles, you have to knock on more doors. Even if you get more time, it still costs more money. It's how it's the slow death of 1,000 paper cuts. And that's how they weed out the third-party candidates. So I agree with you on that. We definitely need more choice. We need better candidates. We need people to be more engaged and more involved in the political process. And I think we will have a better country because of it. So we agree on a lot of stuff. Now I'm taking from your comments that you're more of a libertarian type person.
Absolutely.
Very, very good, very good. Well, I'm a constitutional conservative. That means I'm not a rhino. I'm not a Republican and want to take away everybody's rights and all this other kind of stuff. I believe in a constitutional government.
The government that goes on that block.
Yeah. yeah, the government that was created on that block, exactly. So how we get back to that is through localizing the power, pushing the power down to the states, having the states exercise their constitutional rights, having a state exercise, when okay, I'll give you for instance, this is how many people, and I talk to politicians all over this country. All over this country I talk to politicians. I started a group a couple years ago, 2 years ago, fighting against the national popular vote. I was fighting to protect the Electoral College. That's a whole other discussion. I just want to tell you that story so I can tell you this. So in doing that, I've been talking to politicians all across the country, at the national level, at the state level, at the local level, and I find that too many of them do not understand the basic first thing about our country. When did we become free from Great Britain? Do you know that? What document was it?
The Declaration of Independence?
Actually, it wasn't. The document that made those 13 original states, because they're colonies, right? Yep. They are a ward of Great Britain. So what gave the 13 colonies, made them the 13 states? It actually happened on the 2nd of July. It was called the Henry Lee Act. And it severed the relationship between these several states. Now in colonial English, several meant separate. Several did not mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Several meant that they were separate from one another. They were sovereigns unto themselves, like the great state of Britain. like France, Spain, they were sovereigns, and we then had 13 sovereigns on the evening of, right in that building over there, on July the 2nd, we became 13 individual and free states. And then 2 days later, those brand new several states, meaning they were separate, all signed the document called the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable, not unalienable, inalienable rights. See, every word, every phrase, every single word in those founding documents means something. They thought about every single word. Unalienable, not inalienable, means it cannot be taken away by anyone. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And they pledged, they knew if they got caught, if they lost, they were going to get hung as traitors. With faith in divine providence, we pledge our lives, our fortunes. They gave all. They risked all to sign that document. And that's what I believe in. That we are a nation that self-governs, that is unlimited in potential, that every person has a right from their Creator to achieve everything that they are possible of achieving with as little impediment as possible from the federal government. That's what I believe. And that's why we're having this rally today. So I want to thank you very much for coming out.
Yeah, I appreciate
and,
it.
Participating. And
I'll just leave off with one last thing. I'm just going to reiterate it. I already said it. But if you want to change, we all know, we've all just agreed on a whole bunch of stuff. We all know
agreed
this
on
country,
a lot more than
this country is the political system is broken here.
Yep,
it's not necessarily broken because that's the way they want it to run, but it doesn't work for us. It's broken as far as we're concerned, and that's why Trump got elected. People wanted to shake things up. Trump was a shaker, right?
Yes,
It's why Bernie almost won the Democrats side, because he was a shaker.
He was shaking it up.
I'm going to tell you, if you want to shake this country up, you want to make a real change, don't sit at home and not vote and protest. Don't come out and vote for Trump or for Bernie or for whoever the shaker-up is within the party. Come out and vote for an independent candidate or a third-party candidate and get these people on the ballots next time.
Well, I would love to say something to that if I could.
Please, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's my opinion. Yeah. I'm not.
Well, listen,
you all do you.
Listen,
this is a free country.
I want to do this again. Thank you very much for stepping up to the microphone. I think we had a very spirited conversation.
And I appreciate the civility here. I knew the reason I came out here was because I saw a whole bunch of people, of my friends on Facebook, going, "Oh my God, Nazis are coming to Philadelphia! Nazis are coming!" And I was like, I did as much research as I could. I was like, these people are not Nazis, they're not white supremacists, and I'm going to go there and I'm going to have a conversation with them and show you that the people there.
There you go, yeah!
I have never had violence threatened against me by somebody having a conversation like this on the right wing. I have had violence threatened against me from members of, so-called communists, whatever their beliefs were, but clearly aligning on the left, have threatened violence against me. Personally, that's my own story. In the city of Philadelphia.
Well, thank you very much. And I would say this to the crowd across the street. And could I have the crowd across the street's attention? Hey, could I have your attention across the street? I want to say something to you.